Hello, everybody. Today we're gonna talk about someone who worked to end the racism. His name is Nelson Mandela. He worked to end the apartheid, a system of racial segregation in South Africa from 1948 to 1994. It was made a law in South Africa, and the name itself comes from Afrikaans and it means separatism. The history of European settlement in South Africa started in 1652, mostly by colonies from the Netherlands, and many years after by other countries like France, Germany, and Great Britain, looking for richness, especially for gold and diamond. And by the time of the apartheid era started, white population was still a minority of 21% of the South African population. Under the Population Registration Act in 1950, each inhabitant was classified into one of four races: white, black, color, and Indian or Asian. I choose to make a research about why Nelson Mandela was described as a terrorist. Phrases like the ANC is a typical terrorist organization. Anyone who thinks he's going to run the government in South Africa is living in Cuckooland. Margaret Thatcher, 1987. Nelson Mandela should be shot. Teddy Taylor, mid-1980s. And this hero works is very misplayed. John Catley, MP, 1990. Call my attention because all sources always describe him as a hero that gave South Africa freedom. This topic is related with the SDG 10, reduce inequalities, because this SDG had the goal of reduce inequality within and among countries, which is something that Nelson Mandela wanted, his objective. Before we start talking about deep in what does he have done, we'll talk about the background of Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was born in July 18, 1918, in a small village of Mbesco by the name Nolinghagle. He was the first of his family to receive schooling, and the English name Nelson was given by her teacher, Miss Ndingjan. Since Mandela was young, he saw how black people lived under the regime of Dutch and English laws, and how in 1958 black and color were deprived of their citizenship and segregated in different land, school, buses, shops, and hospital, protecting the minority of white people, and even the laws were different. He was studying Bachelor of Arts. He became involved in the Student Representative Council and as part of the boycott against university policies, and he was banned from school. And it was at this time when he started his fight as a political activist. He escaped to Johannesburg because he refused an arranged marriage. He studied law at the University of Witwatersrand. At the time he was studying, he met three influential anti-apartheid activists. With this knowledge, he started to fight for this equality and justice. In 1943, Nelson Mandela joined the African National Congress, the ANC, which was founded in 1912 when Nelson was 6-year-old. And according to the BBC, the ANC was formed in response to the segregation law many years before the National Party came to power in 1948. When in 1930, blacks were forced off lands which they owned and become compulsory to live in Africa reserves. In 1956 was the first attack against the ANC, imprisoning 156 members charged by treason, and in 1958, when the Pan American Congress was formed, the ANC finance went down, and the ANC was banned by the government, and Nelson Mandela was persecuted for 17 months and finally caught in 1961 and sentenced to life imprisonment. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison for fighting for a cause he believed in, but he wasn't the only one. There were many other people around the world that were fighting too. And so Nelson Mandela was finally released in 1990 under President de Klerk, who also believed in the cause of equality and freedom. In 1993, among with de Klerk, Nelson Mandela was recognized and awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his fight and freedom. And what was the reason he was listed as a terrorist? In 1990, both Thatcher and Ronald Reagan accused Mandela and the ANC of being communists and terrorists, placing Mandela on the terrorist watch list. But his only crime was to free South Africa from apartheid and create democracy. His greatest achievement was to unify his country by giving equality to the black and equality to the white. Today, the interracial problems are still relevant, mainly in the United States, South Africa, Japan, and India. But they aren't the only ones. However, there are still people like Nelson Mandela that are trying to end racism and create a world where every human being is equal to everyone, because it's not only if you're black or white. Also, if you came from another country, you have another religion, or what you like, your sexual orientation, or more. One of the most influential people that is against the racism is Barack Obama, the first black president of the United States history. Since he was a child, he has suffered a racism, and he has tried to stop this racism that he lived and to gain equality. Some of the quotes of the ex-president of the United States, Barack Obama, are: racism, we are not cured of it, and it's not just a matter of it not being polite to say the N-word in public. And something that Obama said about the actual president Donald Trump, because we all know that he's racist and Obama is anti-racism. So what he said is the following:
it did not start with Donald Trump. He is a symptom, not the cause.
What he said meant that racism didn't start at Trump. He was just a person who is in favor of the racism, and that's why there are many people that are in favor of him. So in our view, Nelson Mandela was listed as a terrorist because Thatcher and Ronald Reagan accused them to be a communist and a terrorist, while he only freed South Africa from the apartheid. And that is not a problem from the past. We are still living it, and there are people like Nelson Mandela or Barack Obama that are still working or work to end this problem. To you to see how important was Nelson Mandela, that the Mandela Foundation invites every year one person of privilege to pronounce a speech in the anniversary of the Mandela, who was born in 18 July 1918 and died in the 5th of December from 2013. In 2018, the one who spoke was the ex-president of the United States, Barack Obama, in a stadium of Johannesburg, that we know that he was living in there. And in my opinion, it's so stupid to classify the people because they are different type of skin, their religion, or anything that could be racist, because we're all humans and everyone have these different types of personalities and all that, and to suffer only because he thinks different than you or is different like you is very stupid to do. So I think that we all treat us like humans and treat us equally and treat us like we want to be treated. Thanks for watching my video. Be sure to like it, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified of our latest videos. Have a great day. Peace.